large percentage of hip hop has gotten like increasingly more and more violent. They're talking about real shit that's going on. There's a big concern in the UK. I've read about a bunch where like, you know, the government's worried about drill and all this kind of stuff. How do you, as like an elder statesman of this, do you ever feel like you're kind of caught in between that moral conflict of like, maybe I'm promoting shit that is promoting violence?
I mean, for me, it's social commentary. I think these issues run a lot deeper than music. Like, we've got to look at what's making these guys talk about this shit. Like, there's some people that come from that way of life or have never come from that way of life, rather, that talk about it and glamorize it, and I don't think that's cool. I understand entertainment, but at the same time, I don't really think that's cool. But if somebody's experienced that, and that's their way of life, who are we to tell them that they can't talk about it? It's social commentary, it's what they know, it's what they've experienced. It's society's job to better those situations. It's society's job to look at what are causing these problems. Why are these kids rolling around with guns?
Right.
Why? Why are these kids rolling around with knives? Why are these kids having to sell drugs? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not our job as a society to judge people for talking about things that they experience or trying to quiet them. If we want to fix the problem, it's a lot deep rooted than kids rolling around with straps and knives.
Right.
There's a reason. What's the reason?
Does the BBC censor the artists at all? Like,
oh, for sure.
Can I go on the BBC and say I just stabbed 10 people?
No. Totally censored. Totally.
Is that ever frustrating for certain artists? Or?
Definitely, massively. Really? You know, if there was a long period of time where, like, we'd get a lot of kickback for that.
Really?
There was times where there was like, you know, huge national press moments around things being censored and censorship, especially if someone made a political statement and it was censored. So yeah, you know, I think censorship in general is a shit thing, man. Like, freedom of speech is so important. People being able to speak their truth is so important. At the same time, I don't think it's cool when you got these dudes that have never experienced that stuff trying to glamorize it, running around trying to, you know, get some credibility or stripes at the back of it and earn a quick buck. But if you've experienced it, you have every right to talk about it.
But we don't have a BBC telling us what is appropriate and what isn't. But like, one of the only rules we have on here is like, if you're from a gang, you're not going to come on here and use this as a platform to say, hey, fuck this other gang.
Yeah.
Now, if you are a rapper and you have an issue with a specific rapper and you want to say that, that's cool. But I feel like I would look crazy letting my platform be used to basically like sow this
that's not responsible,
murderous beef between people. You know, it just seems like a misuse of the platform to a certain extent.
I think over here, I think is like, you know, is quite a lot different to how things are in the UK. Like, the gang thing out here, it's wild. Like, until I'd come out here and really experienced it firsthand and spoke to people and like understood the severity of it, it's only what you see or what you hear.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? By experiencing it firsthand and seeing it, like, it's pretty crazy out here.
The more I learn about it, the more insane it seems, because then you start to learn more about the stuff that's happening that doesn't involve anyone famous, and that's where you really start to like learn about the horrible things of kids getting shot and shit like that.
Wild.
You know,
It's a serious thing.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so from at this point in your career, what are you focused on? Like, what's the stuff that makes you the most excited, aside from just keeping all these different platforms running?
So I just done the Finding a Booth with Drake, and I got to that moment again in my life where I'm like, alright, what's next?
Right.
And at this point, for, you know, a little while, I had like the DSPs hitting me up like, yo, we should have a conversation.
Okay.
We should talk. And at that point, or before that point, I didn't really get it. I understood streaming, I understood the value of it and the importance of it, but I didn't understand how my platform and their platform could coexist and for it to make sense.
Right.
So I just done the Finding a Booth with Drake. I'm thinking, what's next? And I end up having a conversation with Zane Lowe, who for me was like always a super champion for me, like really supported me from the day off, like kind of took me under his arm a bit at the BBC and always championed me.
Right.
Massively, especially within the BBC, championed me massively. And of course, he had made that jump from the BBC where he's like an icon, a legend.
Right.
He's the man, the myth in the world of broadcasting and radio. And he took that jump and left to come and set up Beats One. And I'd watched that transition and I watched it and I had a conversation with him, like, what's it like, man? Like, how you finding it? He's like, bro, it's incredible. Like, the game's changed forever. And I could see that shift. And he was like, go and speak to Oliver Schuster. Have a conversation with Oliver, see how you feel about Apple. So I went and met with Oliver, and he said, like, what's your aspirations? What are you trying to do? And I said, look, I want to be a part of the story of the first international British rap star. I want to be a part of that story. I want to help make that happen. I want to be part of the ingredients that makes that happen. And at the same time, I want to create a global rap community.
Because there's got to have been a lot of times over the years where you felt like you were seeing a rapper cross over.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really happen as much as you wanted.
And I feel like at the BBC, there was only so much that I could do. I felt like in the UK, I can do a lot for you.
Right.
But on a global scale, what can I do? Like, I have relationships around the world, but there's only so far and so much those relationships can do to help an artist grow into that space even further.
Right. Okay, guys, we want to thank you so much for getting us to 100,000 subscribers right here on the Clips channel. If you want to support, please click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 200K. Thank you. Thank you so much.